Hello and welcome back to screenblue.com.
In this lecture, we learn about the constructor method. In our previous lecture, we learned about what static method is and what instance method is, right? So in this lecture, we're going to also talk about the other important method called constructor method. So what is constructor method? Constructor method is the default method of the class that will be run at the time when the object is created or instantiated, okay? So what that basically means is as soon as you create an object from the class, you're actually running the constructor method first, okay? So constructor method is used to declare default behavior for all objects. So if you wanted to actually declare some default behavior for all objects, you can also create a constructor method. Constructor method name must be same as its class name. I'm going to explain it to you in a bit here. The constructor method must have no explicit return type. And there are two types of constructor, default constructor and parameterized constructor. I'll give you an example here, right? So you can see here, I've got this constructor method. So I've got this constructor method in here, and it has the same, this method name is same as the class name here. That's why I know that it's a constructor method. And as you can see here, it does not have any parameters, right? So this is a default constructor. Every time you create an object, it's actually running, although you do not have this method explicit in your code, it's actually running your default constructor, which means it does not have any parameter in here. So you can see here, I've created this default constructor here, and it's just going to print out this is constructor method. And I have another constructor method here, and I know this is a constructor method because this method name is same as the class name. The constructor method, this one has one parameter, and it's string param, and it's going to print out this is a constructor method with parameter. And I've got the other instance method here, and which we already learned in our previous lecture here. This is an instance method because it does not have static in here, right? I'm just going to print out this is instance method. Now, the characteristic with constructor method again is it has to be same as the class name, okay? You can use this constructor method to actually declare the default behavior. The other one is this constructor method should not have a return type. What it means is, like we also learned about the method with different return types, right? Integer return type, void return type. Although it doesn't return anything, it's a return type void, right? The other one was a double return type, Boolean return type, right? We learned how you can create those methods, right? In constructor method, you cannot have a return type. So that's another characteristics of constructor method. So now let's check another example here. I've got this class here, customer, and I've got this default constructor, and I know this is a default constructor because it does not have any parameters in here, and I'm actually overriding that constructor method here with this actually statement here, which is actually going to say welcome to Walmart. I've got this instance method here, get name, okay, and it's got that parameter name, and it's going to print out the customer name is the whatever the name you provided there. So now I've got this main method, and let's say I want to create an object from this customer class. I can do that saying customer, which is this class, customer1, which is the object name, equal new customer. So here, as you can see here, this is how you actually create an object, right? New, whatever the class name, and in this parenthesis here. So when we do that all the time, you're actually running the default constructor. Although I've got this default constructor here, which I overrid with this one here, but normally every time you do this, you're actually calling the constructor method first. And now I've got this customer1.getName, which this is the instance method. Since I create an object, I can call this method here, and I said Danny. When I actually print this new customer, okay, and I said get Danny, it's going to actually say customer name is Danny, just like in here, right? So as you can see here, as soon as I created this object customer1 equal new customer, right? I'm not calling this method here, but as you can see here, it says welcome to Walmart. How do you say that? Because this is a constructor method. So every time I create an object, right, this method is being called. Although you did not explicitly call this method, that customer, since this is a constructor method, it will be called first. As soon as I create an object, customer1, this method was ran automatically. That's why it's called constructor method. It said welcome to Walmart. So now if you can look into your customer2, so I created another object, customer2, new customer. Again, it says welcome to Walmart, and it says get name Dina, it says customer name is Dina. You can see here, although I did not explicitly call this method, just like get name, this method was being called at the beginning. Okay, as soon as I create an object, this method was being called. That is why it's called constructor method. Okay, you do not have to explicitly call that, it just calls it for you. So the other one is the example with constructor method with parameters. Okay, so let's say I've got this string make, model, and year. So now I have this constructor method. I know this is a constructor method because this method has the same name as the class name. Okay, so now it's got 3 parameters, make, model, and year. So now I do here this dot make equal make. Okay, so it might look confusing, but I'm going to explain it to you. What that means is this dot make is this local variable here. But what I'm saying is this make equals to this parameter make here. Okay, this dot model means this variable inside this class, right? This dot model equals to this model right here, and this dot year equal to this year. So you're saying that, okay, I created a constructor and I'm actually saying this variable equals to this parameter make, and this variable equals to this parameter model, and this variable equals to this parameter year. And I've got this instance method start, and it's going to say starting. So now I've got this another class in here. It's got this main method. So when I say vehicle, this is this class Ford, okay, it's one of the type of vehicle, equals to new vehicle. So now as you can see here, right, before I only had one parenthesis, inside there was nothing, right? So now this vehicle actually saying that, okay, this vehicle class has this constructor method which requires 3 parameters, make, model, and year. Alright, so now when I create an object from this vehicle, I cannot create an object without this 3 parameter. I need to have these 3 parameters. Okay, so that's why I got new vehicle, just this class here, and now I need 3 parameters because this constructor method is actually forcing you to create an object Ford with 3 parameters. If you do not do that, it's going to throw an error. Because what you're saying here is this vehicle class has this constructor method which requires 3 parameters, make, model, and year. So now I created an object here, Ford, and I said new vehicle. This is how you actually create an object, okay, new, and your class name here. And this vehicle has this constructor method with 3 parameters, so I got to give 3 parameters in here. So I'm going to give Ford, again, model Taurus, okay, year 2012. So with that, I'm actually creating an object Ford, and I can call this start method here. So when I do that, it's going to say starting. Since I'm not actually printing anything here, right, so you don't see it, but it's actually calling this vehicle in here. So that's how you can create constructor method with parameters.